Welcome, Stephen Longbottom from Langham Hotels.
Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. I appreciate the time. Sorry for the confusion in the beginning, but here we are, and I'm thrilled to spend time with you. First, I'd like to just thank you to our great partners with Prestige, who align with us as a brand on many levels. And so it's always a great honor to be able to affiliate ourselves together and reach out and share our updates on Langham Hospitality Group. And as well, I want to thank Prestige for putting me together with some of the best in the meetings and events industry. So thank you for your time today. I know how valued it is. And so I'll get started, and I'm going to share my screen and hope that this will all come through so we can get started. So I wanted to start off really with sharing a Langham morning show with you, which is just an opportunity for us to spend this time together and talk about Langham Hospitality Group, where we started from, who we are. Also give you some updates on our North American hotels, our flagship hotel in London, as well as some great updates that we have about the brand moving forward. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I think the most important thing for us as a brand is to always talk about where we came from. And for us, Langham Hospitality Group really started as a brand with the opening of the Langham in London in 1865. This was the first hotel to open, a luxury hotel in all of Europe. It was the first hotel to have rising rooms, which are now considered our elevators. It was the first hotel to have in-room plumbing and electricity in all of the guest rooms. And a lot of the luxury standards that you find in luxury brands all across the world really started with the Langham in London in 1865. Our owner, Dr. Lowe, is based in Hong Kong. Dr. Lowe purchased the Langham in London in 1995, and he coupled the British luxury with the Asian service culture and combined those two, and the brand Langham Hospitality Group was born. And you will find those two touches in all of our hotels around the world. Dr. Lowe also has 3 brands underneath Langham Hospitality Group. Of course, the luxury 5-star, 5-diamond brand of Langham Hotels and Resorts. We also have Cordis, and we have Eaton. And I'll talk more about those 2 brands as we go through the presentation, but I'll highlight and start talking about our Langham hotels around the world. Langham hotels are in all key countries and cities around the world. You'll find similar touches in all of those hotels that really give a sense of place and a consistent experience as you travel around the world. All of the hotels will highlight a sincere level of service, a captivation of the senses. All of our hotels will have pink roses in the lobby when you arrive, as well as a very quiet ginger floral scent that you'll smell in all of our lobbies, no matter where you're checking into, be it Hong Kong, Sydney, LA, or in Chicago. And then, of course, innovation is a key feature for the hotel brand. We're at the top levels of innovation and design. The technology is key for all of us to be able to perform high-level, high-touch meetings in all of our hotels, as well as create memorable experiences that your attendees are leaving our hotels and going home and talking about. Just to share with you a map of where we are as a brand currently. We're in the US, we're in Chicago, we're in New York, we're in Boston, we're in Pasadena, right outside downtown LA. And of course, we're in New York on 5th Avenue and 37th. As we move over, our flagship, as I mentioned, is in the Langham London, which I'll talk more about. We also have 9 hotels and growing throughout Asia and through China. We're in Hong Kong, we're in Shanghai, Ningbo, Shenzhen, Hefei, all of the emerging markets throughout China. We have a strong presence in the Pacific as well, with the Langham in Sydney, the Langham in Melbourne, and one of our newer openings, the Langham Gold Coast, which is our first oceanfront property, which we're very excited about on the Gold Coast in Australia. We also just opened up Jakarta. I'll talk a little bit about some of the openings that are coming as well and a little bit further down the line. I always like to share a little bit about who we are from an award standpoint, because it gives you an idea of who we are competing against and who our sister hotels in the industry are, to give you an idea of where we sit in the market. Last year, we were number 7 in the top 10 best hotel brands globally, which we're very proud of. And then some of the highlights from some of the hotels. The Langham in Boston was the 3rd best hotel in the city after reopening from a multi-million-dollar renovation. The Langham, New York was 5th best hotel in the Big Apple. Chicago, one of our stunning properties, was honored 3rd place in the Windy City. And then Melbourne, we're very proud of, not only in Australia, but Australia and New Zealand, took the #1 spot. So very exciting for some of our hotels, and just to give you an idea of where we sit competitively. I was just going to share briefly a fun collaboration we have going on right now with Paddington, and touches into our British luxury experience. We're partnering with Paddington Bear right now, so you'll see more of this coming through from a marketing standpoint. But we're very excited to have Paddington wearing a Langham pink coat here with us in the next months. So we'll have more to share on that into the future. So just an exciting collaboration we have going on. And now I'll move through the specific hotels, and it's a very casual conversation. So if anyone has questions or thoughts, please just let me know, and I'm happy to stop and answer at any time. I'm going to start with the Langham in London that we've talked about, which is our flagship. The Langham London sits in the Mayfair district, in a great neighborhood in London, surrounded by Bond Street, Regent Street, all the shopping, all the entertainment districts, and then just a close walk to all of the historical aspects of London as well. It is a historic building, built in 1865, but when you walk in, it feels like a beautiful modern hotel with beautiful meeting spaces, guest rooms, suites, and again, just a very historic, luxurious arrival and departure. Just some pictures of the hotel. We are Forbes 5-star here in London. Some great experiences, both from a meeting standpoint as well as just for a traveler's stay. We have a club lounge at the Langham in London. So just a beautiful space for executives and key partners to be able to spend time away from the public spaces of the hotel. This has private arrival and departure, and then specific guest rooms that are placed onto this level as well. The guest rooms are elegant and stately, as you can see, all keeping to the history of the building, but again, with modern technology and touches throughout. There is the opportunity for outdoor space in London at the Langham, which I think is really special. The weather in London is always tricky, but when it is beautiful, it's gorgeous, and it's nice to be outdoors. And the ballroom at the Langham London has an outdoor terrace adjacent to it, so you could certainly use that, weather permitting, for continental breakfasts or lunches, or even evening receptions, and to get a break out of the ballroom space. Here's another picture of that terrace space that's perfect for activations and themes and anything needed during groups and events. Just to highlight a little bit about ideal group size and group rates at the hotel, the perfect room size is about 50 to 150 rooms. To 150 rooms is basically what is needed to gain access to the grand ballroom and all of the meeting spaces. They do have different rate categories throughout the year. London can be tricky, but there is great value at the Langham in London. And for those of you who are booking London, just to highlight, we're a large hotel for London, almost 400 keys. And so it allows us to be a little bit of a value when compared to some of the other luxury properties in London. So just keep that in mind. Because of the size of the hotel, we're able to have rates that'll show value compared to some of the other hotels you may be looking at. Coming back over, I wanted to highlight the Langham in Boston, and some of you may know this hotel is in the Federal Reserve Bank in the financial district in Boston. It was built in the early 1930s. We just closed this hotel for 2 years right before the pandemic, which was planned, in order to give a full restoration. Instead of doing the hotel in pieces, we decided to close the hotel entirely, and we replaced everything possible that we could that wasn't historic. So new plumbing, new electricity, new elevators, a brand new ballroom, new foyer spaces. All of the areas were touched in the hotel. One thing that's to keep in mind for the Langham Boston, for those of you who've sourced it in the past, we do have a new ballroom there. So we used to max with meetings and events in about 75 to 100. Now with the additional ballroom of 3,000 square feet, we can increase that meet and feed space into about 150 to 175. We're looking at the new foyer space and the ballroom spaces, all with natural light. The foyer, you can't see it onto the right side, but there's windows on both sides. So you have natural light flowing through the foyer, and then it goes right directly into the ballroom space with windows. And the other ballroom has a skylight, which is here on the bottom left. So that's the second ballroom. that also has natural light. And then the only room that was untouched in the restoration was Wyeth Room, which is the original president's office. And this due to having original Andrew Wyeth paintings in the space, as well as a historic nature in the room, it was completely covered and untouched during the restoration. So it's now just a really special room and amazing for evening receptions, dinners, breakfasts, and lunches, and can also hold meetings as well. So we're now moving into groups from 125 to really 175, depending on the amount of breakout spaces needed. And then they have rates low, mid, and high season. Boston in the fall is a little bit tricky and throughout the summer, but they can have rates in the low threes, and then high season is 450 and above. Another nice feature of the hotel, the 312 guest rooms, they've all been redone, oversized rooms in the city. And then the hotel previously did not have a Langham Club, which is a Langham standard. You'll find a Langham Club in all of our hotels now. So now the Boston Hotel has a Langham Club, 3,000 square feet, beautifully appointed space. And just to highlight the club in all of our hotels, it is a food exploration throughout the day. So it's breakfast, lunch, evening cocktails and canapes, snacks throughout the day. And those breakfasts and lunches are hot. And so it's not just continental and light fare. They're hot breakfast, hot lunches, and a really lovely experience when in any of our hotels. We can also do full room blocks in the club lounges and on the club floor. So if there was a group that wanted exclusivity and buyout, we certainly can entertain that. I mentioned we're right in the heart of the financial district and now very close to everything happening in Boston, about a 10 to 15 minute walk down to the seaport. And then the best part about Boston is the quick access to Logan. You can really get to the hotel within 12 to 15 minutes from the hotel. We're competing with all the luxury keys in Boston, just to give you an idea of where we are, who we're working with when we're looking at business in Boston, all of your luxury keys there in the city. To highlight New York, we're sitting on 5th Avenue between 37th and 38th. We're just a few blocks from the Empire State Building. So our views of the hotel are really a quintessential New York view. You're looking out of a lot of the windows and looking directly up at the Empire State Building. So just a very special New York view. We're right in the heart of Midtown, which we really love right now, as everything is happening in New York kind of all over the city. So being in Midtown and centrally located to both train stations and everything happening in New York really gives the hotel a lovely location and easy access to travelers and attendees coming into the city. The hotel is very residential and boutique in size, but it feels like you're walking into someone's home. And so it just has a lovely warm welcome when you arrived at the hotel. Spacious guest rooms, some of the biggest in the city. They really are like small little apartments for New York, but just gives you really lovely oversized space. There's many suites here, many suites that have kitchens as well. So these are great for groups, incentive stays, long stays, buyouts in regards to one-on-one meeting spaces. If you needed to have breakouts happening, we do a lot of that in our suites because they do have the food and beverage component, as well as some terraces that make it really nice for some conducive meetings. We also, during the pandemic, added a club to the New York hotel. So we have the Langham Club there as well. Just a great oasis in the heart of the city and putting us on par with all of the other Langhams that have a club lounge. We have I Fiore as well as our main restaurant there and bar, Michelin starred, just a great option on the second floor. Available for buyouts and private dinners as well when having groups at the hotel. The ideal group size in New York is about 85 guest rooms, but we have beautiful rooms like the one you see here to the left that are preset for board meetings. So we do a lot of board meetings in New York at the Langham, and then we can meet and feed comfortably 85 to 100, depending on the breakout spaces and the flow of the meeting itself. New York, because we're in Midtown, we can be a nice value here as well. In low seasons in that first quarter, really starting with a 3, which is really nice for New York. And then we do climb in higher seasons, $695 and above. And we're competing with the other luxury keys in the city as well. We do compete with the New York edition as well as Andaz just to location. But certainly the Four Seasons, the Peninsula, and the Ritz-Carltons are also in our competitive set. Moving over to LA, to Pasadena, very exciting. This is our largest hotel within the brand. We're 400 guest rooms, 50,000 square feet of meeting space. We're just 9 miles from downtown LA. So planned accordingly. With traffic, the hotel can be anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes from the airport in lovely Pasadena, which is just an amazing enclave, very high-end luxury neighborhood. And the hotel just sits in the center of this lush and gorgeous area surrounded by the San Gabriel Mountains, and gives you just a lovely opportunity to have a focused meeting in a lovely location with easy access in and out from the airport. We're 379 to 400 guest rooms, depending on the setups of the rooms. The guest rooms are lovely appointed spaces, a lot of them looking out over the mountains. We're competing with a lot of the hotels around in the area, a lot of them on the beach side. And so I just touch here, for us, the Langham Pasadena is a great value because we don't sit on oceanfront. We're in that enclave that I mentioned, kind of surrounded by the mountains. It gives us the opportunity to be a rate driver. So if you have valued groups, please keep us in mind. And as you can see, the hotel is just a lovely resort. This is the Horseshoe Garden at the back of the hotel. This can play closely up to 850 to 900 people. And then receptions are beautiful. It's all amplified, so you can have beautiful music and lighting all outside with the backdrop of the hotel. And of course, everything that Pasadena and downtown LA have to offer. Again, we have rates in the low seasons, $269, and then high season, we can get $300 and above. 50,000 square feet of meeting space. All of the ballrooms have existing terraces that connect to the ballrooms. So that's a lovely option to be able to enjoy the beautiful weather that Southern California has to offer. You're able to do breakfast and lunches outdoors, breaks, and evening receptions. So just a great opportunity there. The largest ballroom is 12,000 square feet and has the opportunity to meet and feed 400 easily. The hotel does do buyouts. So if you have a group that wants to be the only group in-house, we certainly can accommodate that at the hotel. And then the Horseshoe Garden, as I mentioned, is just a great opportunity for evening receptions, welcome receptions. And then there's a myriad of breakout spaces as well. So large scale groups fit perfectly in Pasadena. And then coming to the center of the country in our beautiful Langham, Chicago, which is the building here to the right. This as well is a historic building on the historic register. It's a Mies van der Rohe building. It was the former IBM headquarters. Langham purchased the building, gutted the entire building, and built it up as a Langham. The lobby starts on the 22nd floor, and then the meeting space is directly above that. So the hotel here is all about natural light because the meeting spaces is on the 23rd floor. We're right on West Wagger, right on the river. And so you have beautiful river views and lake views from the guest rooms. Some of the largest guest rooms in the city, lovely appointed rooms. This room is looking out over the lake. We also have a club lounge in Chicago, stunning views overlooking the lake and then the river to the right, and just a great opportunity to be able to connect before or after meetings. And there's 90 guest rooms on the executive lounge floors of the Langham Chicago. So again, great opportunity for small blocks to have an entire level on the club lounge. And I was talking about the natural light, which I want to highlight here. This is the Devonshire Ballroom. It's 5,000 square feet. It's 18-foot windows in all 4 sections and 22-foot ceilings. So it's really a planner's dream in regards to meeting space. You can have windows in each section. You can meet on one side and have meals on the other, and everybody has beautiful views overlooking the city. Here's another view of that space. Again, seasonally rates, just to give you an idea, low season, we can start under $3, and then high seasons for Chicago throughout the summer and into fall, we can be $450 and above. We're also competing with the luxury set here in Chicago, just to give you an idea of kind of where we sit. And now I just wanted to highlight for you the other brands, just very briefly, from the hotel. And I wanted to talk to you about Cordis. And Cordis, the word Cordis means heart. And Dr. Lowe, that I mentioned earlier, is also a heart surgeon. And so when he created Cordis as a brand, obviously he wanted to connect that to something he's very passionate about. And so Cordis means heart. It's a connectivity, and it's about networking and being partners together in the hotels where we have a Quartus. This is a beautiful picture of the Quartus in Auckland, New Zealand. The tower to the right is brand new, was opened over the pandemic. It's 250 brand new guest rooms, making it the largest hotel in Auckland, New Zealand. And Quartus as a brand was created all international. These are larger hotels with multiple food and beverage outlets. And these hotels really, from a comparison standpoint, fall in line with an Intercontinental, JW Marriott Marquis, lovely luxury hotels, but they're larger in size than you would find from a five-star, five-diamond luxury hotel. And currently, the Quartus hotels were in Beijing, we're in Shanghai, we're in Hong Kong, and then in the Auckland in New Zealand. So just a different brand to keep in mind if booking internationally. And then I also wanted to highlight Eaton, which is also a family story. Dr. Lowe challenged his daughter to create a brand that would fit in with her generation. Catherine Lowe created Eaton, which is all about sustainability, connecting in the cities where we are located. This is a picture of the Eaton in Washington, D.C., which is at 12th and K. This hotel is all about social responsibility. It has recycled water used in all of the public spaces, gender neutral restrooms. It's also Gold LEED certified. So the hotel has a strong focus on sustainability. And we have two Eatons, one in Hong Kong, one in Washington, D.C. And we are growing that and slowly but surely as we kind of come through in regards to Eaton as a brand. And just to highlight some of the pipeline and things that have happened over the last couple of years and into the future, we did open a beautiful hotel during the pandemic, the Langham Jakarta. We sit in the Manhattan of Jakarta, built as a brand new hotel as a Langham. Very proud of this property. It's just a stunning hotel right in the heart of the business district and everywhere you want to be in Jakarta. We're 223 guest rooms with stunning views overlooking the city. Beautiful meeting space as well, 688 square meters here from a meeting standpoint. And then they have a beautiful facilities, beautiful pool overlooking the city. We also, during the pandemic, opened last year our Langham Gold Coast. This is our first oceanfront property in Surfers Paradise in Australia. The hotel are these three towers, the blue towers you see a little bit to the right. The hotel is in the main centered building. It's 269 guest rooms. And then the other two buildings are residences that can also be put into a group block. So we can do group blocks up to 350 at this hotel. Beautiful guest rooms overlooking the ocean. For those not familiar, this is Surfers Paradise. It's south of Brisbane, which is where you would fly into, and is really just kind of a beautiful enclave right on the Pacific with beautiful views. The hotel has a gorgeous spa, indoor pool, and then of course a resort pool. The resort pool does have beautiful restaurant spaces that can be bought out for private groups, for arrivals and departures. So this is a lovely opportunity for incentive meetings or meetings that have an incentive component. And then just to highlight some of the future developments for us, we are working now on the Langham Venice, which we're very excited about. Restoration has begun. Very exciting. This is on the island of Murano. So those familiar with Venice, it is actually in parts of the original Murano glass factory. This is not on the main island. So we will have private boats that will take you from St. Mark's Square over to the hotel for a water arrival. It's actually being built and restored in a 14th century casino, not the type of casino that we're used to in Macau and Las Vegas. The casinos in that time were where artists and creatives would meet and gather to perform and spend time together. And so this building is actually a restoration from the 14th century. Frescoes throughout a lot of the building that are all being restored now. This property is set to open in 2026. It'll be smaller with 138 guest rooms, but resort pool, multiple restaurants, and just a really lovely opportunity to have in Venice. We will also be having a lounge and beach club side on the main island. So guests who are staying at the hotel can have a space in both the main island and then, of course, at the hotel. We've also just announced the Langham in Riyadh and the Diriyah project. This is our first Middle East project. It's under development as we speak. They're creating a whole brand new city. If you have not heard about it quite yet, but it's pretty fascinating what's happening there. And they're building so fast in this area that we will be opening this property in 2026 as well, and ground has broken. And then finally, we're really excited to offer and share the Langham Seattle, which was just announced about 8 to 9 months ago. This is sitting on the Sound. Really cool project for us. This will be the first project for Langham that has residences attached to it. And the hotel itself, the main entrance and the lobby of the hotel will be in a historic building, and the residences in the hotel will be built around it. So you'll be entering into a historic building, and then the guest rooms, meeting spaces, and residences will all be a brand new build surrounding the historic building in Seattle. And so that was just a brief overview of the brand. I'm really sorry for the hiccups in the beginning, but I hope that was a nice overview for everyone. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer. And I did have just a quick trivia question and a prize. I have 2 nights at our beautiful Langham in Pasadena with upgrades to best available and complimentary access into our club so that you can experience a Langham club. So if there wasn't any questions, I'm happy to ask that question and start, if that sounds good.
Sure. Any questions for Stephen? Anybody? Before he gives away a fabulous prize? Okay, go ahead, Stephen.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much again for the time. I have my email address here. So the first person who can email me correctly, sharing 3 things that all of our Langham hotels and resorts around the world have in them. So if you were to arrive at any one of our hotels, there's 3 things that you'll find at each one of our hotels. So if you could go ahead and email me those answers, and I'll share the winners and look forward to our partnership in the future. And if there's anything that anyone has questions about or needs with any of our international hotels or the other brands, please reach out to me separately, and I'm happy to share more information. There's a lot to talk about. So I want to make sure we have valued time and make sure we can keep to the time limit. So I'm always available if anyone needs anything.
This was a great overview, Stephen. It looks like someone is asking, is there any options coming in Latin America for Langham?
We don't, unfortunately, have anything in Latin America. We are focused with probably about 4 or 5 developments now happening through Asia, which is our largest thumbprint. We're very excited, as I mentioned, to have Seattle coming. We've been trying to get more of a thumbprint in North America, but we don't have anything in Latin America at this time to share. I think the next opportunities and announcements that we'll have will be further development in Europe, which we're excited about, and quite ready to talk about.
Okay, anybody else have anything for Stephen? And there's his information should you think of something after and want to contact him. We appreciate everybody's time this morning for joining us. And Stephen, wonderful overview. Thanks for sharing with us today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm always available if anybody needs anything. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Have a wonderful day, everybody.